Ladies and gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters. Today, I want to talk about something that has been quietly holding many of us back, something that has kept us stuck in a pattern, a loop of frustration, confusion, and quiet resentment. It's the idea of being the nice girl. The reality you are experiencing right now is not some random series of events that have happened to you by chance. It is the result of your past thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The patterns you have formed, the choices you've made, the situations you find yourself in, all of these are shaped by your mental and emotional habits. Your life, in many ways, is a mirror of your subconscious mind. Every single one of us has beliefs about who we are, what we deserve, and how the world works. These beliefs are formed over time through our experiences, interactions, and the messages we've absorbed from the world around us. From the moment you were born, you started learning how to navigate the world, what to expect from others, and how to respond to different situations. As you grow, these beliefs and habits become more ingrained, and they shape the way you perceive yourself in the world. But here's the key: your mind is not just a passive receiver of information, it is an active creator of your reality. When you look at your life today, whether it's your relationships, your career, your health, or your personal sense of fulfillment, the events and circumstances you face are not random. They are a reflection of the thoughts, emotions, and actions you have consistently engaged in. If you are stuck in patterns of self-sacrifice, of always putting others' needs ahead of your own, it's because that is the story your mind has been telling you. If you feel like you're constantly overextended, or if you can't seem to break free from feeling like you're not enough, that too is the result of the thoughts and beliefs that you've held onto for years. We often believe that our circumstances define who we are, but in reality, it is the other way around. Your thoughts and beliefs define your circumstances. The way you think about yourself and the world shapes the opportunities you attract, the people you meet, and the situations you find yourself in. If you see yourself as someone who must always be nice to be liked or valued, your actions will align with that belief. You will go out of your way to please others, to be accommodating, to say yes when you want to say no. And as a result, you will constantly find yourself in situations where you are drained, overextended, and potentially even resentful of the people around you. Your mind, however, is a tool that can work for you or against you. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the external world is in control, that things just happen to you. But in truth, your mind is the creator of your experience. If you don't like the life you're living, you must start by changing the way you think. When you change your internal dialogue, you change the way you show up in the world. The way you perceive situations and people will shift, and the circumstances you find yourself in will start to shift as well. Think about the beliefs you've carried with you throughout your life. Many of these beliefs were formed early on, shaped by your family, culture, and society. You were likely taught to be polite, to always consider others, to be nice. But how often were you taught to consider yourself, to prioritize your own well-being, to set boundaries and say no when it's necessary? If you have spent most of your life putting everyone else's needs before your own, it's no surprise that you feel burned out or unappreciated. The belief that you must sacrifice yourself for the sake of others has created that experience. When you begin to recognize that your thoughts and beliefs are not the truth but simply mental patterns that you've been conditioned to follow, you unlock the potential to create a new reality. Your thoughts are not fixed, they can be changed. The mind is not a static entity but a dynamic, ever-evolving tool. You have the ability to rewire your brain, to replace old beliefs with new, more empowering ones. You can choose to believe that you are worthy of respect and love without having to prove it through endless self-sacrifice. You can choose to believe that your time and energy are valuable and should be protected. As you begin to make these shifts, something incredible happens. Your inner world starts to change, and so does your outer world. When you stop operating from old, limiting beliefs, the people around you will start to respond differently. When you stop being the nice girl who is always available, always accommodating, always giving, people will notice. You may find that some relationships change. Some people might even step away because they can no longer rely on you to bend to their will. But you will also find that others will respect you more, value your time and energy, and appreciate the authentic you. This process of change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, practice, and conscious effort to reprogram the mind. But once you start, you'll begin to see the results. Your external world will begin to reflect the new version of you, the one who honors her needs, sets boundaries, and is no longer afraid to speak her truth. It's a gradual process, but it is a process that will lead you to the life you truly want. Being nice is often seen as a virtue. It's something that's praised, celebrated, and expected. From childhood, we are taught to be polite, to be considerate of others, and to be accommodating. But there is a distinction between being nice and being kind, and understanding that difference is essential if you want to break free from the limiting patterns that keep you stuck in people-pleasing behaviors. Being nice often comes from a place of wanting to be liked, to be accepted, or to avoid conflict. It's about maintaining the appearance of peace, about doing what others expect or want in order to keep things smooth and easy. The nice girl is the one who avoids confrontation, who says yes when she means no, and who goes out of her way to please others at the expense of her own needs and desires. While this may seem like a harmless way of interacting with the world, it's not sustainable. In fact, it can be deeply draining, leading to frustration, resentment, and burnout. True kindness, however, comes from a place of authenticity and self-respect. Kindness is not about people pleasing or avoiding discomfort. It's about being compassionate and considerate without compromising your own values or well-being. Kindness is rooted in strength, not weakness. It is the ability to act with integrity, even when it's difficult, and to respect both others and yourself. The problem with being overly nice is that it often means you are suppressing your true self. You are holding back your emotions, your desires, and your boundaries in order to fit into what others expect or demand of you. You may say yes when you want to say no, agree to plans that you don't want to be a part of, or sacrifice your own needs to avoid upsetting someone else. In doing so, you are not honoring your own truth. Instead of showing up as your authentic self, you are masking your feelings in order to maintain the illusion of harmony or approval. This pattern of being nice is often born from a place of fear of rejection, fear of conflict, or fear of being seen as selfish or unworthy. But this fear is misplaced. The truth is, you are never more valuable than when you are true to yourself. When you hide your needs, your boundaries, or your truth for the sake of others, you are ultimately dishonoring who you are. And the longer you continue to do this, the more you begin to lose touch with your authentic self. Kindness, on the other hand, requires a deep sense of self-awareness and self-respect. To be kind is to be honest with yourself and others. It's about acknowledging your needs and desires and expressing them clearly, even if that means disappointing someone or causing temporary discomfort. True kindness recognizes that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's. It doesn't mean you disregard others' needs or become selfish, but it does mean that you give yourself permission to put yourself first when necessary. The key difference between being nice and being kind lies in authenticity. Nice is often about pleasing others and avoiding conflict at all costs, whereas kindness is about being real, about showing up fully as yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Kindness doesn't require you to diminish your own worth or suppress your emotions. In fact, kindness invites you to stand in your power and to honor your own feelings, values, and needs while still being compassionate toward others. Being kind also means having the courage to say no when it's necessary. When you are always saying yes to others' demands, you are not being kind to yourself. You are not giving yourself the space to rest, recharge, or pursue what is truly meaningful to you. Kindness involves setting healthy boundaries and recognizing that saying no to others is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-care and respect. Another important aspect of kindness is forgiveness, both toward others and yourself. When you are constantly in the role of the nice girl, you may find yourself harboring resentment, frustration, or anger, especially when others don't appreciate your efforts or take advantage of your people-pleasing nature. In these moments, true kindness requires you to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean allowing others to continue taking advantage of you, but it does mean letting go of any negative emotions or grudges that keep you trapped in a cycle of bitterness. Uh, the more you practice kindness, the more you'll find that you attract the right people into your life. When you show up as your authentic self and honor your own needs, you will no longer attract those who take advantage of you. Instead, you will begin to form relationships that are based on mutual respect, where both parties give and receive freely without the need for manipulation or people-pleasing. True kindness is magnetic. It attracts people who appreciate and respect you for who you truly are. Kindness is not always easy. It requires vulnerability and courage. It means being willing to face discomfort, to speak your truth, and to stand up for yourself when necessary. But it is always worth it. When you shift from being nice to being kind, you align yourself with your true essence, and you create deeper, more fulfilling connections with others. You stop shrinking to fit into other people's expectations, and instead, you step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. Your worth is inherent. It is not tied to your actions, your accomplishments, or how much you give to others. The idea that your value is determined by what you do or how you show up for others is one of the most damaging misconceptions that keeps people stuck in unfulfilling patterns. The reality is, you were born worthy. You don't have to prove your value through endless self-sacrifice or people-pleasing. Your worth is not contingent upon external validation or the approval of others. It is intrinsic, a part of who you are at your core, and nothing can take that away from you. We are often conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to how much we can do for others, how well we perform, or how selfless we are. We are taught that being good means constantly giving, putting others first, and never asking for anything in return. While generosity and compassion are noble qualities, they become toxic when they are rooted in the belief that your value depends on your ability to please others or to serve their needs. This mindset creates an endless cycle of overextension, where you give and give but never feel like you're enough. No matter how much you sacrifice, it's never quite enough to fill the void of feeling worthy. When your sense of worth is tied to your actions or the validation of others, you will always be seeking external approval to feel good about yourself. You may bend over backwards to meet others' needs, hoping for recognition or appreciation, but deep down, you are still left feeling empty. The reason for this is simple: the source of your worth is not outside of you, it is within you. You can't find your value in someone else's approval or in how much you do for others. It must come from within, from a place of inner knowing and self-acceptance. When you truly understand that your worth is inherent, you stop measuring yourself by how much you can do for others. You stop thinking that you have to prove yourself by sacrificing your time, energy, and needs. This doesn't mean you stop being kind, compassionate, or generous, but it means you no longer sacrifice yourself to meet others' expectations. You learn to set boundaries, to prioritize your own needs, and to say no when it's necessary. You stop giving from a place of emptiness and start giving from a place of abundance and self-respect. People often fall into the trap of thinking they need to earn their worth. This belief is deeply ingrained in many of us. From childhood, we are taught to earn love, affection, and respect by doing things for others or by meeting certain standards. The underlying message is that you are not inherently worthy of love or respect. You must work for it. This belief creates an unhealthy cycle where you are constantly striving to prove yourself, to earn your place, to be worthy of acknowledgement. But this cycle never ends, because no matter what you do, you are always looking for external validation to feel validated within yourself. This pursuit can lead to burnout, frustration, and a deep sense of unfulfillment. The key to breaking free from this cycle is realizing that you don't need to prove your worth. You are worthy simply because you exist. Your inherent value comes from the fact that you are a human being with unique gifts, qualities, and potential. Your worth is not determined by how much you give, how hard you work, or how much you achieve. It is not about meeting someone else's expectations or fitting into a mold. Your worth is defined by your existence, by the fact that you are here, living, breathing, and experiencing life. When you embrace the truth that your worth is inherent, you start to live differently. You stop measuring your value by your external accomplishments or by the approval of others. You begin to recognize that you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity simply because you are you. You don't have to earn your worth through people-pleasing or self-sacrifice. You are already worthy of love, respect, and kindness just as you are. This realization is liberating because it frees you from the need to constantly prove yourself and allows you to step into your full potential without fear or limitation. This shift in perspective has a profound impact on how you show up in the world. When you no longer seek external validation to feel good about yourself, you become more authentic. You stop hiding behind masks or pretending to be something you're not in order to gain approval. You are free to be your true self, imperfect, authentic, and powerful. You stop measuring your worth by the judgments of others or by how much you can give. Instead, you operate from a place of self-love and self-acceptance, knowing that you are worthy just as you are. When you truly understand your inherent worth, it also changes how you interact with others. You stop seeking approval, which means you can start giving freely without the expectation of receiving something in return. You begin to establish healthy boundaries, and you recognize that your time and energy are precious. You no longer feel guilty for putting yourself first or for saying no when it's necessary. You understand that in order to honor your worth, you must prioritize yourself, just as you would prioritize others who are worthy of your time and energy. This shift in mindset allows you to create healthier, more balanced relationships. You no longer attract people who drain you or take advantage of your people-pleasing tendencies. Instead, you attract people who respect you, value you, and honor your needs. This creates space for authentic connections, where both parties give and receive in a balanced, harmonious way. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that keeps us stuck in patterns that no longer serve us. It operates silently in the background, shaping our behaviors, our decisions, and even our sense of self. The fear of rejection, the fear of conflict, and the fear of being unloved or unworthy are all fears that many people carry, and they deeply influence how we interact with the world. When we live in fear of these things, we tend to make choices based on the desire to avoid discomfort, which often leads to us diminishing ourselves in the process. Fear convinces us that our value is tied to the approval of others or to maintaining a false sense of harmony. As a result, we may find ourselves constantly in a state of people-pleasing, overextending ourselves, or sacrificing our own needs to keep the peace. But the truth is, this fear is an illusion. It is not based in reality, and it is not based in reality, and it is not something that we have to continue allowing to control us. The fear of rejection is one of the most common and paralyzing fears that many people face. It stems from the deeply ingrained belief that we are only valuable if others accept and approve of us. This fear can lead to people-pleasing behaviors where we say yes to things we don't want to do or agree to plans that we don't feel comfortable with, all because we are afraid that if we say no, we will be rejected. We become so focused on the approval of others that we lose sight of our own needs, desires, and boundaries. We begin to base our self-worth on how others perceive us, which creates an endless cycle of seeking validation and approval. The more we seek it, the more dependent we become on external sources of affirmation, and the less we feel confident in our own value. The reality is, the fear of rejection is often exaggerated. In most cases, the consequences of rejecting others or being rejected are not nearly as severe as our minds make them out to be. In fact, by continuously seeking to please others, we end up doing more harm than good, not only to ourselves, but also to the people around us. By not setting clear boundaries or speaking our truth, we enable unhealthy dynamics and create situations where resentment can fester. People may not even be aware that we are compromising our needs, and they may come to expect that we will always put them first, further reinforcing this unhealthy pattern. The fear of rejection ultimately keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-suppression, where we avoid the discomfort of conflict but create long-term emotional strain. The fear of conflict is another form of fear that keeps people stuck in a pattern of avoiding discomfort. Conflict, especially in relationships, is often perceived as something negative or damaging. Many people are afraid that if they speak up for themselves, they will cause a rift in the relationship or that the other person will be upset with them. This fear leads to suppressing feelings, avoiding difficult conversations, and not addressing issues that need to be addressed. While it may seem easier in the short term to avoid conflict, in the long run, it only creates more tension and dissatisfaction. Avoiding conflict means avoiding the opportunity for growth, understanding, and resolution. Without honest communication and the ability to express our needs, we end up feeling unheard, misunderstood, and disconnected from others. The fear of being unloved or unworthy is at the root of both the fear of rejection and the fear of conflict. When we believe that our worth is tied to the approval of others, we begin to operate from a place of fear, trying to earn love and acceptance through external validation. This can lead to unhealthy patterns of behavior, where we overextend ourselves, compromise our values, or suppress our needs to gain approval. We might stay in situations or relationships that no longer serve us, simply because we fear being alone or unlovable. This kind of fear prevents us from stepping into our own power and embracing our true potential. But here's the liberating truth: none of these fears are real. They are all based on past conditioning, past experiences, and beliefs that no longer serve us. These fears were created to keep us in a state of comfort, to avoid the discomfort of rejection, conflict, or being alone. But the truth is, these fears are holding us back from our fullest expression. By staying small, by avoiding discomfort, we never give ourselves the chance to grow, to evolve, or to experience the joy of living authentically. When you stop living in fear, you begin to free yourself from the constraints of people pleasing and self-sacrifice. You realize that rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy, conflict doesn't mean the end of a relationship, and standing up for yourself doesn't mean you're selfish or uncaring. In fact, the opposite is true. When you stop being afraid of rejection or conflict, you open the door to deeper, more authentic connections. When you start setting boundaries and honoring your own needs, you invite more respect, love, and balance into your life. You no longer have to hide who you are or apologize for what you need. You become empowered by your authenticity, and that power radiates outward. By recognizing that fear is a product of old programming, you can begin to rewrite the story. You can start to choose bravery over fear. You can choose to speak your truth, to honor your boundaries, and to trust that you are worthy of respect, love, and fulfillment, regardless of what others may think. As you begin to shed the fear of rejection and conflict, you start living in alignment with your true self, attracting the people and experiences that reflect your worth and authenticity. You stop shrinking and start expanding into the fullest version of yourself. Transformation is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, a journey that begins with a simple decision, a decision to change your mindset and your approach to life. It starts when you recognize that the way you've been thinking, feeling, and behaving up until this point has brought you to where you are right now. If you are not happy with your current situation, if you feel stuck or unfulfilled, it is a clear sign that the patterns you've been operating from are no longer serving you. The power to change lies in your ability to shift how you think and feel. And the beautiful thing is that you have the ability to do so right now. At the core of transformation is a deep understanding that your mind is a powerful tool that shapes your reality. The thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold, and the emotions you experience all have a direct impact on the life you create. Most people, however, operate on autopilot, allowing old beliefs and conditioned patterns to run the show. They live their lives based on what they've been taught to believe about themselves and the world around them. So these beliefs shape their choices, which in turn shape their experiences. But the truth is, you are not bound by your past or by your conditioning. You have the power to break free from old patterns and to create new, empowering beliefs that will serve you moving forward. The first step in this transformation is to become aware of your thoughts and beliefs. You must begin to observe the internal dialogue that runs constantly in the background of your mind. What stories are you telling yourself? What limiting beliefs are you holding on to? Are you telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that you're not deserving of love or success? If so, these beliefs are creating a reality. Your mind takes these thoughts as truth and acts accordingly, bringing you experiences that align with them. But here's the key: your thoughts are not facts. They are simply mental habits that you've accumulated over time. Just because you've believed something in the past does not mean it has to be true moving forward. Once you become aware of these thoughts, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this belief supporting the person I want to become? More often than not, you'll find that your old beliefs are not only untrue, but also limiting. They hold you back from stepping into your full potential. The power to change starts when you begin to question the validity of the thoughts that have kept you small and confined. When you question these beliefs, you open up the space for new, more empowering thoughts to take root. This is where the real transformation begins, when you choose to believe something new, something that empowers you rather than something that keeps you stuck. Next, transformation involves aligning your emotions with your new thoughts. Your feelings are an essential part of the process because they are the energy that fuels your actions. You may have all the right thoughts about who you want to be or what you want to achieve, but if your emotions don't align with those thoughts, you won't be able to take inspired action. If you continue to feel fear, doubt, or insecurity, those emotions will block you from moving forward. This is why it's not enough to just think positive thoughts. You must also feel worthy of the changes you want to create. The key is to practice feeling the emotions that align with your new beliefs, even if you don't yet see the external results. When you begin to feel empowered, confident, and capable, you'll notice that your actions naturally begin to align with these feelings, and the circumstances around you will start to change. The final piece of the transformation puzzle is taking consistent, aligned action. It's not enough to just think positive thoughts or feel good about change. You must take steps toward the new version of yourself. Action is the bridge between your current reality and your desired reality. But here's the thing: the action you take must be in alignment with the person you are becoming. It's not about simply doing more or working harder. It's about acting in ways that reflect your new beliefs and your new emotional state. When you take action from a place of confidence, self-worth, and empowerment, the results you experience will be a natural reflection of those inner shifts. This process of transformation takes time and it requires patience. There will be moments when you feel uncertain or discouraged, when you question whether the changes are really happening. But remember, transformation is a gradual process. Every thought, every feeling, every small action you take adds up over time, and eventually you will see the results. The key is to stay committed to the process, to continue challenging your old beliefs, to keep aligning your emotions with your new vision, and to take inspired action every day. Ultimately, transformation is about stepping into a new version of yourself, one that is empowered, confident, and authentic. It's about shedding the old layers of fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs that have kept you small, and embracing the fullness of who you truly are. This process may be uncomfortable at times, but it is also incredibly liberating. When you choose to transform, you are choosing to create a life that is aligned with your true potential, and that is a life worth living. When you begin to honor yourself, everything in your life begins to shift. Honor is not a mere concept, it's a deep, intrinsic recognition of your own worth, needs, and desires. For many people, the act of honoring themselves feels foreign or uncomfortable because we've been conditioned to place others' needs before our own. We've been taught to be selfless, to give, to accommodate, and to put ourselves last. But this way of living, while it might seem noble on the surface, only leads to exhaustion, resentment, and an eventual loss of connection to our true selves. The key to creating lasting change in your life, to creating relationships and experiences that truly serve you, lies in the practice of honoring yourself. When you honor yourself, you begin to take ownership of your life in a way that is rooted in self-respect. This means recognizing that you are worthy of love, care, time, and attention just as much as anyone else. It means that your needs are just as important as the needs of those around you. Too often we go through life trying to please others, seeking validation and approval from external sources. We forget that we don't have to earn our worth through endless sacrifices or by putting everyone else first. Honoring yourself means acknowledging that your feelings, your needs, and your desires are important and deserve to be met, just as much as anyone else's. This practice of self-honor begins with setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that separate us from others, rather, they are guidelines that help us navigate our relationships in a way that is healthy and balanced. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, a way of saying I value myself enough to protect my time, my energy, and my peace of mind. It means that you are willing to say no when something doesn't align with your values or your well-being, even if it means disappointing someone else. And while this might feel difficult at first, especially if you've spent years being the one who always says yes, the more you practice honoring your boundaries, the more empowered you will feel. When you honor yourself, you also stop seeking external validation. For most of us, the need for validation is deeply ingrained. From a young age, we are taught that our worth is determined by how others see us, by how much we can give, and by how much we can give, and by how much we can achieve. We seek approval from our parents, our teachers, our friends, our partners, and anyone else whose opinion we value. This constant seeking of external validation can lead to a life where we are never truly satisfied because we are always looking outside of ourselves for the affirmation we need to feel good about who we are. But when you begin to honor yourself, you stop seeking validation from others. You recognize that your worth is not tied to how others see you or how much you give. Your worth comes from within, from the deep understanding that you are enough just as you are. Honoring yourself also means giving yourself the grace to make mistakes, to be imperfect, and to be human. We live in a world that often encourages perfectionism, where we are told that we must be successful, happy, and put together at all times. But the reality is that perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and striving for perfection only leads to frustration and self-criticism. When you honor yourself, you allow yourself to be flawed, to learn from your mistakes, and to grow. You stop punishing yourself for not meeting unrealistic standards and begin to embrace your imperfections as part of your unique, beautiful humanity. Self-honor is also about self-care. It's about prioritizing your well-being, both physically and emotionally. Too often we put others' needs before our own, thinking that we are being selfless or noble. But in doing so, we deplete ourselves. When we don't take time to rest, recharge, and nurture ourselves, we become exhausted, irritable, and disconnected from our true selves. Honoring yourself means that you are willing to take the time you need to care for your body, your mind, and your spirit. This could be as simple as taking a walk in nature, enjoying a hobby, meditating, or saying no to obligations that drain your energy. It means treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would show to someone you love deeply. Moreover, when you honor yourself, you begin to attract different kinds of people and experiences into your life. People who honor themselves and who respect their own boundaries are drawn to others who do the same. As you begin to honor yourself more deeply, you will find that you no longer attract people who take advantage of you or drain your energy. Instead, you will attract people who appreciate and respect your boundaries, your time, and your worth. Relationships will become more balanced, more fulfilling, and more authentic because you are no longer engaging in them from a place of neediness or self-sacrifice. Instead, you are engaging from a place of wholeness, knowing that you are complete and worthy just as you are. Honoring yourself also means standing in your own truth. It means expressing your feelings, thoughts, and desires without fear of judgment or rejection. So often we hide parts of ourselves to fit in or to please others, but this creates disconnection from our authentic selves. When you honor yourself, you embrace who you are unapologetically. You speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You allow yourself to take up space, to be seen, and to be heard. This is not about being arrogant or demanding attention. It's about giving yourself permission to be fully present in your own life, to show up as the person you truly are without fear or hesitation. The more you practice honoring yourself, the more you will find that life begins to reflect this honor back to you. You will begin to feel more empowered, more confident, and more at peace. Your relationships will improve. Your career will thrive. And most importantly, you will finally feel the sense of alignment and fulfillment that comes from living authentically and honoring who you truly are.